All right, now just 3 odd days back, the Israelis bombed the oil refinery in Tehran, resulting in a massive explosion there. And also what many people said was oil that came down in rain, resulting in a lot of people inhaling those fumes. Give us a sense of what conditions are like in Tehran. There were essentially these water channels that were completely filled with that oil that was on fire. What is the condition like in Tehran, and also the impact of the attack that took place in the oil refinery just on the outskirts of Tehran?
Well, the fire has been largely contained in those three major oil depots in northern and southern Tehran, and an oil refinery in southern Tehran as well was also targeted. And of course, the desalination plant in the Reshm Island in southern Tehran, in southern Iran, for which Iran retaliated by targeting a Bahraini desalination plant, because Iran believed that the origin of the strikes came from Bahrain. But of course, the smoke for a couple of days, for a few days, you see and you look at the sky in Tehran, and you can see clouds, black clouds covering the sky, apocalyptic images, really. And then when it rained, the rain was black, and cars passing by get just colored in black rain and black water. And you can still see those cars. The cars are still covered in those areas, of course, closer to those depots, oil depots. They're still covered in black. And not just that, but in terms of public health, they pose serious health hazards, because there have been some toxic fumes. And of course, the Iranian Health Ministry advised citizens not to get closer to those areas. But of course, the entire capital was covered with that black smoke and black cloud. So Iran condemned the attack and called it a serious and a dangerous new turn in the ongoing conflict. And Iran said that if this situation continues, if the Israelis and the Americans continue to target civilian infrastructure, critical civilian infrastructure, then they would retaliate by targeting the similar infrastructure in the GCC region linked to the Americans and the Israelis. So Iran says that it is a serious new turn, dangerous new turn, and this is an escalation in the ongoing conflict. And this would change the whole thing from a military focus to a civilian focused, because Iran has also reported some damages to some civilian infrastructure, including schools. Schools continue to be a collateral damage, because some schools are adjacent to some military institutions, and the shrapnels coming or just jumping from those buildings at the time of the strikes can damage the surrounding houses and buildings. And Iran says that more than 13,000 civilian-linked infrastructure, including houses and even hospitals, have been a collateral damage. So right. Iran has been trying to raise awareness of the fact that its civilians have been vulnerable and exposed to the Israeli and the American strikes.
Right. Now, a lot of people would not know about the extraordinary history and architecture and culture of Iran. And one of the aspects of this war by the Americans and the Israelis is that they have gone out and, in many ways, staged attacks on some historical locations as well. There were reports that have come out that the Gulistan Palace in Tehran, one of the most beautiful palaces, suffered damages because of the American bombings. There was another Chehel Sutun Palace in Isfahan, which also has sustained damage. Give us a sense of how widespread the damage has been on Iran's cultural sites. These are sites that date back hundreds of years that have been damaged in these American and Israeli bombings.
Well, of course, yes, you mentioned Gulistan and Chehel Sutun in Isfahan and Gulistan in Tehran. These are sites that have been recorded as cultural heritage, have been registered on UNESCO as cultural heritage. These are not just normal sites. These are sites, and these are actually tourist attractions in Iran. Among the tourist attractions, you search them on the internet and you can see the images, how beautiful they are, how meticulously built they are in during the past dynasties ruling Iran. Like some of them have been built 700 years ago, and 700 years ago during the Safavid dynasty in Iran. Some of them have been built were built during the Qajari dynasty in Iran, but prior to the Pahlavi dynasty. So these are very much tourist attractions and sites that have been registered as cultural heritage inside Iran. So I'm not saying that the United States and Israel is intentionally targeting these sites. We're not judging anyone here. But of course, these are the collateral damage. And Iran has been saying that the United States and the Israelis have targeted those places. Of course, the narrative is different in Iran. They're saying that there have been some, they're intentionally targeted by those countries. But of course, we're not judging here. Apart from the narrative that exists, these are a collateral damage.
It's baffling, Yusuf, it's baffling that something like the Gulistan Palace or the Chehel Sutun Palace in Isfahan could sustain damages. These are extraordinary sites of historical and cultural importance. But we are completely short of time. Thank you very much indeed for joining us from Tehran, getting us all those updates there. We'll continue tracking the developments that are unfolding at this moment in this war that's been started by the United States and the Israelis on Iran. It is day 12 of the war. And we'll slip into a short break. More updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned to WION. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.